minute. One of the things that we want to take care of, though, is a little quick business. Just like with any other good meeting, we have, for the last 6 weeks or so, had an opportunity for you to jump on our Facebook page and enter the name of your son or daughter or niece, nephew, grandchild, 15 to 16 years old, to spend a day with our buddy Jeff at Midnight Retrievers. And they are going to get to spend the whole day working with a number of different dogs. They'll get to go through and see what this is all about. And, they've possibly, hinted to you before they'd like to raise a retriever. Well, this is the opportunity for them to see just how much work is involved and what all goes into making an incredible dog, because they'll work with a brand new puppy. They'll work with dogs that are, 6 months old, maybe getting ready for this season. What's the date of that? September the 26th? Is that the day they're going to?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's.
I'll get with Jeff. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that's. Jeff will send me a text right now because I know he's listening, but
Yeah.
I think that's right.
But at any rate, we've needed a young man and a young woman, and we have got our two winners. And these two young folks are going to get to spend the entire day. They're going to go to. Are they going to Cyprus?
No, I think they're going to go to what they call Miss Sarah's property over in Wascom, Texas,
Oh, okay.
right out of Wascom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got ponds and fields. It's a great place to train. It's easy to get to.
Yeah.
And
And it's an all-day adventure.
well, no, it'd be about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for a kid.
But
that's-
Jeff's going to give the use a whistle, a dog whistle, which is a neat thing. I wish he'd give me one.
Yeah.
But
You don't rank high enough,
I know it. But yeah,
He'd have to take the one away from Charlotte that he gave her.
he gave her the shot call.
But what a great experience for both of these young people.
Well,
I
why
mean, it's
don't
gonna
you
be-
why don't you announce our winners there,
Well,
Stevie?
let's go girls first, of course. Maggie Weldon is our winner, and she is a junior at Byrd High School. She's a varsity soccer player and two-time defending state champion as well.
How about that?
In soccer, and she is she is obviously a outdoorsman, and her name was nominated, and she's the one we have selected. Drake Mandino. I think Mike knows more about.
Yeah,
Drake.
that's Duke Mandino's son.
Oh, cool. Okay. So Maggie Weldon and Drake Mandino, the two of you, will get to spend the entire 4 or 5 hours with Jeff Matthews, Midnight Retrievers, and get to learn a little bit more about that. And, of course, if you're thinking of possibly picking up a puppy in the coming months, you'll have a big heads up on what's going to go into that. I think everybody, they ought to do that. They ought to do that with people before they have their first kid.
Amen.
And
Amen. Because there's not much difference.
I'm just telling you, you spend 4 or 5 hours and just one's colicky.
Yeah.
That's the best birth control ever was.
Well, Meredith, my daughter, has a Yorkie poo and a great little squirrel dog. Great little squirrel
And
dog.
he's got colic.
No, he doesn't have colic. But my point is, we've dog said a couple of times, he's a puppy.
That broke you from wanting a dog, didn't it?
Hey, again, it just reminded you this is like a child. I mean, you have to monitor him. You got to maintain.
That's because you let him inside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he's a Yorkie poo dog. So
He's a Yorkie poo out in the yard.
he has learned how to do that.
That's where dogs belong, out in the yard.
Yeah.
I'm with you. If my wife is listening right now,
Which you're not gonna win that battle,
I'm
so.
only agreeing with Mike for the benefit
Why
of
are
the
you
show.
looking at the door? You're afraid she's going to break in right now and kick your butt?
I get a little nervous about that.
Hey, she was mad at me.
There
a
is
week ago,
there is
so.
an exception letting dog in the house, and we'll talk about that later in
Make
the show.
sure, Mike, that you don't text or call Gary on a Saturday morning and telling him that the show's not on the air.
Hey.
'Cause she will be upset with you.
She does not know me very well. To tell me that something bothers her is the best way in the world to make it happen.
He doesn't know her very well, does he?
No. Let me tell you, that little blonde.
She strikes fear in me. I'm 6'3".
Okay, opening day of dove season this past Saturday.
Yeah, how'd you do, Gary?
We had actually a really good hunt Saturday morning, but then it just was essentially over. I mean, Saturday morning.
It was time to eat.
Well, but I mean, it was like there was a lot of doves.
Right.
Doves flew really good. Pretty much everybody there got their limit, pretty fast. But then, bam! I mean,
It just stopped.
we had a new crew that came in Saturday evening, and literally, I mean, they couldn't believe that we had done as good as we did that morning because there was no birds. At the same time, though, and I have discovered something. I'm gonna let a secret out on the air.
No, no.
Don't tell that secret.
No.
Come on. Yeah.
You're cutting your own throat.
Nah. That's what good neighbors do.
That's what this show's all about.
Yeah.
Sharing.
Exactly. See, Eccles hadn't learned that concept yet.
I'm a greedy sucker.
Yeah. I did find out that the guys who plant across the road from where we hunt down at my uncle's,
Right.
he over the last few years has been planting and adding to a big dove patch that he's got there, and he's doing it 100% legal. But he's planting something that nobody else is planting.
Until now.
And doves love it. Eccles is really upset that I'm going to share
I
this
think
secret.
he wants you
Hey.
to keep that under your hat.
Well, guess what?
Under your headset.
Yeah. Crabgrass. Doves love it.
That amazes
Crap.
me.
Now, my uncle says that the guy at the co-op looks at you like you got 3 heads.
I guarantee
When you walk in, you say, "Yeah, I want to order 100 pounds of crabgrass seed."
Yeah.
But apparently, for some reason, the doves love it. We got to looking at the seeds in the doves after we started cleaning
Now,
them.
this ain't one of them deals they're going to eat it and drink some water and blow up, are they?
I would pay money to watch.
You know,
I've always wanted to see that.
there is another myth that stopped throwing rice at weddings.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever has there been a dove or a bird that ate rice and it
And
swelled
blew
up
up?
and hurt them.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. I believe that.
Well, who come up with that then?
Tree hugging,
PETA.
animal loving
PETA.
idiots.
Yeah. Well, these doves, we started looking at them. I was like, is that millet seed? Or it obviously wasn't goat weed. And
We could do that
We got to
experiment in the show in here.
yes.
Get a couple of birds, set them over in a cage, and put some rice
Rice.
in there with some water, and let's see what happens.
Turn the camera on them.
Look like Jiffy Pop going on.
I would
You know
feel
what?
to see that.
Hey, this rice ain't working. Let's try Rolaids or
Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer.
Or popcorn.
Yeah. At any rate, it was actually disappointing. But those guys hunting over these where he had bush hogged this crabgrass in an hour, little less than an hour and a half, had all limited out. Bam, that fast. Now you know.
Wow.
And Eccles, you guys had a good hunt, but y'all were hunting sunflowers.
We hunted sunflower season. I got to say thanks to Jason Bond and Aaron Poole and Nathan for all the work they did. But we killed. We had a good hunt. You know, I think.
Everybody limit out or
Well,
close?
pretty much we killed. I think what we averaged was about 10 a person that morning. They hunted. I cooked and sat around and visited that afternoon. But and they waited on the ball game to start, and
Which
I could
never
care
did.
less.
Did you use your redneck AC unit?
No, it wasn't hot.
It really wasn't bad.
Saturday
Really?
morning,
We had a good
we were
wind.
through by 8
Josh,
o'clock
Arkansas,
Saturday
it was
morning.
freaking hot.
We were through by 8 o'clock Saturday morning, or quit by 8 o'clock, and then when we went back that afternoon, I went inside and used Jason's air conditioning system in his house.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I cleaned doves.
That's
and
the best
cooked.
kind. You know what I found this year? One of the guys there had something that I'd never seen before. They have a wind-activated mojo, a dove mojo that has got the wings are kind of like cupped, and when the wind blows, it blows the
Like
wing.
a windmill or something.
Yeah, it was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen. You know, because I use the
They're
battery.
probably cheaper.
And well, I didn't ask him the price, but I thought, man, that's technology right there.
The
Mike,
only
got a
problem
question.
is there's not a lot of wind
This time of the year.
Right.
first of September.
I got a question for you, Mike. Did you breast the dove, and did you try the way you cook duck? Did you try that with them?
No,
You
no.
haven't tried it
I
yet?
cooked duck meat down there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I cooked.
I bet
duck
those
meat,
guys
and-
never
and
forget
they loved
that.
it. But they did the traditional wrap it in pepper and bacon and cooked it on the grill,
Yeah,
and
right.
and it was delicious. They
Yeah.
did a great job.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you, Chris Locke, you are amazing, dude. Every year he comes up with something else, and this year, I mean, honestly, we brought the stuff to have hamburgers. I think maybe there were 3 hamburgers eaten. The rest of us ate dove and pepper poppers and all kinds of stuff that Chris had cooked.
That's
You
what it's all about,
missed
man.
it, dude.
I know I missed
You
it.
missed
I hated it. I really hated it.
Hey, obviously we're moving on now towards teal season this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
This Saturday, and there's finally some. Naturally they've showed up a little early.
Yep. There are some birds here.
Birds on most of the area lakes. So
Tell
they'll-
me something. If I'm teal hunting, am I hunting? Do I want to be like on a main body, like river, a long stretch? If I was hunting Toledo, do I want to be out in a big body of water, or are they more inclined to come into puddles, oxbows, things
you
like
want to
that?
be in 1 foot of water or less,
Okay.
and you want to be where there's grass and mud and
Okay.
they're going to be around lily
Corn.
pads.
Corn.
Corn, yeah,
Yeah.
they do real good around corn.
Hey, question for you on that now. My middle son is going to teal hunt Saturday. And one of the things that I was going through with him was, make sure identification is, species identification, big thing this time of the year. How do you advise somebody young that's duck hunting? Don't shoot that wood duck. I know you thought it was a teal. Don't even pick your gun up. I mean, how do you teach them?
Well, there's no absolute. Hunting, fishing, and women, there's no absolutes.
Amen.
So, and that I'm not being negative. Women, that's what we love about you.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, teal are going to fly in bunches.
Yeah.
Single, yes, you can shoot single teal all the time, but most of the time it's going to be a bunch of ducks.
Yeah.
Your wood ducks, more
or
or less, are going to be one or two at a time.
Paired up, yeah.
The blue-winged teal is pretty easy to see the patch on the wing. And the wood duck hen, mistaken for teal, pintail hens, which will fly with teal sometime, you can pick them up, and if you don't look at the feet or the beak, you can mistake them for a teal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're real close. A small pintail hen will look a lot like a teal, and you pick him up. If the feet are gray, you better
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that, because the other day when we were dove hunting, several times we had doves flying with 4 or 5 kildees, and I was scared to death. I wouldn't even hold the gun, but all of a sudden you'd see the kildees turn right, and the dove or two turn left, and it was like, man, I'd never seen that before.
There are probably more tickets written for killing the wrong species in teal season than there is for shooting early or over the limit.
Right.
Yeah.
Mistaken, killing the wrong bird, and it'll get you in trouble.
Okay, we got one other order of business here. The Holy Angels tournament.
Yeah, we got that coming up this weekend. Mike, of course, will be highly involved in that. And Fishing for Angels Fall Bass Classic. It's Saturday, September the 12th, out of Red River South Marina and Resort. 2-man tournament, team tournament. It's a 3 bass limit, $200 entry fee per team, $10 optional big bass pot, 100% payback on that. Guaranteed first place, $3,000, and that's just that to me ain't why you're going. I mean, heck, this is just a great event.
Right.
And
but you know what? I've had a lot of people ask me, so what can I do? I'm not going to fish, but what can I do to support them? Come down there.
Yeah.
They're going to have food vendors. You buy a bracelet, an armband for $5. You can eat all you want from all the vendors. They're going to have a live auction.
Yeah, stick around.
Do that to support. Even if you don't fish, bring the kids down there, feed them, participate in the auction.
And I really think there's going to if you just want to see a weigh-in, there's going to be, I think, some quality fish weigh-in. It's supposed to be an excellent weekend for bass fishing this weekend. So, and according to the lunar chart,
It's going to be down in the 80s.
Okay, I promised you a big show. Right. We are going to be there. You're going to love this. On today's show, here at about 11:30, FLW Angler of the Year, Scott Martin, is going to be with us. And this has got to be one of the greatest moments in the history of hooking up and tracking down.
Yeah.
Straight up noon today, 12 o'clock, the legendary owner of the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, Jerry McInnes.
Yeah.
He's current owner of it. Obviously, Ray Scott started it. Jerry McInnes has been part of our lives. I don't remember ever not watching Jerry McInnes.
The Fishing Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
Great show.
He is what we've come to see is bass fishing on television, all kinds of fishing for that matter. Jerry McInnes here at noon, and you're going to miss it if you tune away. Stick with us. Hooking up and tracking down. 11:30, The Tiger.
Toledo Fiberglass specializes in fiberglass restoration, offering fiberglass repair on all major brands of ski and bass boats. Al Drew and his staff will get you back on the water where you belong. Everything from metal flake scratches to recarpeting, Toledo Fiberglass can fix it. It's also home of the Gorilla Hull and the headquarters of the Minn Kota Talon Shallow Water Anchor System. So the next time you need fiberglass repairs or restoration, go see Toledo Fiberglass just off the Texas Highway or call 800-554-5452. No one has a better selection of ATVs than Natchitoches Power Sports. To see Yamaha and other top name brand ATVs, go to Natchitoches Power Sports, located at 367 South Drive on the banks of beautiful Cane River in Natchitoches, Louisiana, or give them a call at 318-352-8174.
As a kid growing up in the country, I have a great appreciation for what a country store is all about. A store that pretty much has anything and everything you might need. We have such a store right here just south of Natchitoches called 3J's 4away. From plumbing to pizza, drinks to snacks, 3J's has it all. With a new and improved deli center, 3J's should be your snack or lunch headquarters. Oh, did I mention Cypress Knee Outdoors? Folks, if you need anything related to the great outdoors, they have it. Deer stands to feeders, ammo, guns, and camo, Cypress Knee has everything a hunter could need. So you're not a hunter, but love to fish. They have all the top name brands in the fishing world. Zoom, Daiwa, Santone, Strike King, Gary Yamamoto, Bandit, and the best hooks on the market, Gamakatsu. This is a place that has it all. So let John Abraham and his great staff take care of all your grocery and outdoor needs by making the 10-minute drive just south of Natchitoches at the intersection of Highway 1 and 120 at Cypress Knee Outdoors.
This segment presented by BioBore Fuel Treatment, Daiwa Rods and Reels, Paul's Farm and Garden, and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, the #1 Ranger boat dealer nationwide for 2014. Speaking of #1, here's the #1 trio in all of outdoors radio: Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles.
And here in just a minute, we're going to answer the question, what and who was the match that lit the fuse for your passion for hunting or fishing? First, though, a quick word about Candyman.
Every dog owner is very particular wherever they have to leave their dog at a kennel. It's like dropping off their child. They want to make sure their pet is taken care of. Well, now there's a place that is as close to doggy heaven as you can get. Candyman Pet Lodge in Wascom, Texas. Dogs everywhere are talking about Candyman Pet Lodge. Training to grooming, your dog will roll over for joy when he hears he's going to Candyman Pet Lodge. For reservations, call 903-765-DOGS.
I like that.
Yeah.
Give that number again.
903-765-DOGS.
You are the man. Okay, what and who was the match that lit the fuse for your passion for hunting or fishing? Now, with Eccles being the age you are, was it Lewis or Clark?
Oh, they were on our trip this weekend, Lewis and Clark.
My gosh.
Who did it for you? Was it your daddy?
You know, it was
Because both you and Claude got a big dose of it. Your brother.
a long list. My daddy fished, and he duck hunted, and he rabbit hunted. My mother fished. My mother used to drive me to Minden to squirrel hunt. My grandmother and my grandfather raised worms and sold them to the camps on Cross Lake.
Wow.
And we had to go package worms on Saturday morning before we could go fishing with them.
I'll be done.
My uncle coon hunted and had dogs. So, and there was an old friend of the family, Ollie Lindsay, who had a place up on out of Ida on the river that used to take me up there hunting and fishing up there. Mm-hmm. So, it's not one person in my family. Right. It was.
But did you notice
it was a family deal?
Did you notice though that as you were a young guy in high school and a young man, that the guys that you tended to hang around with were also outdoorsmen? You didn't hang around with a lot of other people, athletes. Yeah. I mean, did you ever notice that? I mean, even if they were athletes, they love to hunt and fish.
Absolutely.
And it's just weird how there's this huge open kind of a fraternity, if you will, and so many conversations. You go to a Sunday school party.
Right.
And all of a sudden you catch yourself sitting over in the corner with two old hairy-legged boys that both like to deer hunt or fish or whatever the case is. Out of all the people in that room, it's like we kind of lock in on each other.
Well, even at a big church, I know, like ours is a pretty big church. Like if we have a family gathering in the event center, we'll go over there. And who am I going to? I'm going to the guys that are probably like to do the same thing I do, which is hunt and fish.
Yeah.
And, hey, y'all done any good lately?
Yeah.
And there's, you're right. It's funny how we migrate to those kind of people. Now, Mike, I know what it was for me. What was the first thing you hunted that really kind of said, oh, I like this. This is fun?
Oh, gosh.
Because it was one thing for me.
Now, my daddy, we didn't deer hunt. I mean, my daddy didn't. I met a guy in high school, David Owens, who became one of my best friends, whose family deer hunted, and he's who got me into that.
Into deer hunting.
But I enjoyed everything. Like I said, my daddy duck hunted a little bit down on Black Lake, but he really liked rabbit hunting.
Yeah.
And back, you know,
And that's fun too.
Oh man.
just
rabbit
walking and
hunting's
kicking
fun.
them up. We didn't have dogs.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I can remember catching my first bass. I remember. I can't
Is it off a
remember.
lake or a farm pond?
My first bass was in a canal that dumped into Lake Bistineau.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, a canal that dumped
that's
in Lake.
cool.
Ray Gibbs had a camp down there, and I paddled out in the boat and caught about a 3-pound bass, and it was looked like he weighed 10 pounds.
Huh.
I can't remember.
Was Pate in a boat at that time? Was he already fishing?
No. Shoot, he might not even been born
Yeah, he
yet.
might not. That's right.
What about you, Stevie?
Now, for me, I had an uncle, my best friend's dad, who I called Uncle Tracy. He took me and Kevin both. He called one of us Leadfoot and the other one Stumblebum. And when he'd take us hunting,
which one were you?
Well, we never could figure out which.
Okay.
It didn't really matter, I don't think.
Lead head.
Yeah, we weren't graceful in the woods. I can tell you that. And the limited squirrels we would kill was very limited.
Yeah, yeah.
But we and my first trips were squirrel hunting, and once he showed me the ropes and what to look for and how to do that, then by age 10, I was hunting by myself on our ranch over in East Texas, and loved it. Now, deer hunting for me was torture because we didn't have any stands. Like I said, my first deer stand was Dad nailed a 2x4 about 20 foot up a tree, and he said, "Climb up there and go sit on that, and I'll come back at dark and pick you up."
Which way was it going? Crossways or up and down?
And I just remember sitting up there with a 308 and bored to freaking tears. I mean,
You know what? For all three of us, back when we were kids, if you saw a deer, that was
Oh,
a
my
good
God.
season.
The chances of a
Yeah.
deer coming by were almost nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And it was I remember in Titus County, there was only a 2-week deer season.
Yeah.
It lasted for 2 weeks and it was over.
There was only 2 deer.
That's probably right. But Uncle Tracy was on a deer lease just north of Mount Pleasant, right off White Oak Bottom, and I went a couple of times with him and actually saw deer from a true deer stand that kind of got me going. And fishing, I'm self-taught, which is probably my problem. But I grew up on farm ponds and learning to fish, and my dad wasn't a fisherman. He wasn't a hunter, and he would take me and he would drop me off and say, "Hey, go have fun, enjoy yourself." And he might come out there and make 2 or 3 casts with a spinning rod, and that would be it. He'd back to the barn working on calves or whatever he was doing, building barn, and I stayed down there and fish all day by myself. And I had a little cousin that came and fished with me quite a bit out of Fort Worth. My uncle's son, he came out, but anyway.
Was there ever a mentor that stepped in and you look back now and that was the turning point where you decided, you know what, I'm good enough at this, I want to start tournament fishing? Was there anybody that came along?
No, they have one person to blame for that.
Randy Farrer.
Randy Farrer. I had just got through playing pro ball. I had gotten out of baseball, and I went to my doctor and had a physical checkup, and he said, "Okay, you got to have something to replace that. Because if you don't, you could develop some issues because you've been so competitive for so long. You got to have an outlet."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I like to hunt and fish, so I'd start hunting and fishing." I said, "Well, I'll just keep doing what I do." Randy Fair calls me and says, "Hey, man, there's a tournament coming up next week on Bistineau. Would you like to come fish with me?" And I said, "Oh, man." And I knew that if I ever bit on that I was probably going to be hooked.
It's a drug.
Yeah, it was a drug. And
Yeah.
I went with him, and sure enough, that was about 1988, 89, and I've been hooked ever since. So that was it. I can blame Randy Fair for that one.
For me, I grew up in a hunting family. We had a deer camp there in Blanchard that was about 3 miles west of Blanchard out the Latex Road. And everybody in the Blanchard community showed up at our deer camp. We built it out in the middle of the woods. And, my dad, we spent pretty much, every weekend there during deer season. And my dad always, had us boys there. And my uncle was there. My grandfather was there. My grandfather never would stay the night at the deer camp. That was not his thing. It was only about 3 miles back to his house. And he was going to sleep with my grandmother. Yeah. But he'd be right back out, the next morning. And it's like we were saying a minute ago. We never really saw a lot of deer. My uncle, we had a lot of great dog races. But when I really started My Uncle Gary.
Well, let me stop you. Do you miss that?
Yeah.
The dog hunting.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I wouldn't want dogs where I hunt now.
Right.
But I wish there were areas out there that, we took dogs to. I just love the sound of that
I used
race.
to run with guys in Zawali.
Me and Donnie Akes.
I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
When Donnie and I were in high school, Donnie had a coon dog. And we'd go coon hunting at night and stuff. And there's something about the sound of that dog letting you know. Rabbit hunting, the same thing.
Rabbit hunting. I love rabbit hunting.
But my Uncle Gary, he spent so much time with me as a young boy, taking me down to Toledo Bend when it was, sure enough, Toledo Bend. Yeah. And catching white perch and doing those things. And to this day, I spend most of my hunting life with my Uncle Gary.
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
It's just an unbelievable lifestyle. If you've got somebody like that in your life and you hadn't let them know lately how much you appreciate the time they spent with you and the lessons and the hours and in a lot of cases the money they spent, you need to let them know.
Yeah. Let them know that they're responsible for how much money you're spending now hunting and fishing.
Exactly.
Hey, the FLW Angler of the Year, Scott Martin, is next. It's hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
In the hand of a wild-eyed boy with a farmer's tan.
Natchitoches, Louisiana is known for its rich history, and when you talk car buying, Natchitoches Ford has the distinction of selling the very first Ford automobiles in Louisiana. That means they have been satisfying customers for a long time. Friendly people who will make sure you have a great car buying experience. Their no high pressure and hassle-free sales staff will do their best to offer you the best service possible when buying that new car or truck. Family owned and operated, Calvin Braxton Sr. and Jr. want to invite you to stop by and see the guys who started it all in Louisiana car buying at Natchitoches Ford Lincoln, just off the Highway 1 bypass in Natchitoches, or call them at 318-352-3677. As a kid growing up in the country, I have a great appreciation for what a country store is all about. A store that pretty much has anything and everything you might need. We have such a store right here just south of Natchitoches called 3J's 4away. From plumbing to pizza, drinks to snacks, 3J's has it all. With a new and improved deli center, 3J's should be your snack or lunch headquarters. Oh, did I mention Cypress Knee Outdoors? Folks, if you need anything related to the great outdoors, they have it. Deer stands to feeders, ammo, guns, and camo, Cypress Knee has everything a hunter could need. So you're not a hunter, but love to fish. They have all the top name brands in the fishing world. Zoom, Daiwa, Santone, Strike King, Gary Yamamoto, Bandit, and the best hooks on the market, Gamakatsu. This is a place that has it all. So let John Abraham and his great staff take care of all your grocery and outdoor needs by making the 10-minute drive just south of Natchitoches at the intersection of Highway 1 and 120 at Cypress Knee Outdoors. No one has a better selection of ATVs than Natchitoches Power Sports. To see Yamaha and other top name brand ATVs, go to Natchitoches Power Sports, located at 367 South Drive on the banks of beautiful Cane River in Natchitoches, Louisiana, or give them a call at 318-352-8174.
You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Nichols Department Stores, Gary Yamamoto Custom Baits, J&J Exterminating, and Toledo Fiberglass, home of the Gorilla Hull. Check us out on Facebook or go to HUTD.net for tips and tactics to make you a better outdoorsman. Once again, here's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
And don't forget now, here in about 30 minutes, Jerry McInnes, the legend of bass fishing, is going to be on the show. And we didn't realize it, but he was a big baseball player. New book out now. It's Bass Fishing, Brown Dogs, and Curveballs.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this guy because he actually played in the same minor league my rookie year, the Pioneer League up around Billings, Montana, Idaho Falls. He played in the same league I did.
Probably just a couple of days before you got there.
A few days, yeah. They said he possessed a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's pretty incredible.
Okay, on the phone, we've been looking forward to this. FLW Angler of the Year. He is Scott Martin. And Scott, you were, we talked to you a few months ago, and it was already shaping up to be a great year for you, and you did it. You put the final nail in the coffin, brother. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been a huge blessing this year. It's been a lot of fun. It's just I can't hardly believe it. It's just been awesome, man. It's been awesome catching a lot of fish.
Do you give yourself a break? I mean, you get the crown. You're the man. Do you give yourself at all a break, or do you start immediately moving forward to the next year?
Oh, I give myself a break for sure. Bass fishing. And look, I love fishing. I fish all the time. My wife's sitting next to me. She's looking at me funny too.
They do that.
That means you got to tell the truth.
Well, and I do. I fish a lot, and I enjoy it. But bass fishing for me is my job. Okay, that's my job. Tournaments are my job, and the TV is obviously my job, and I enjoy it very much. But my enjoyment, my fun fishing is saltwater fishing. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think didn't we talk? I was in my saltwater.
You were out fishing
with your family.
Yeah, you were out on the boat.
Yeah, that's right. So I spent a lot of time saltwater fishing and goofing around doing those type things, fishing fun, stuff. So tournament fishing, I love it, but when it's over, I take a break from it. I don't fish a lot of little local tournaments or anything like that. We just fun fish, and we do football games, and we're gonna try to get a hunting trip of some sort planned with the boys this year again, and get all that, and before you know it, season will be starting again.
That was my next question. What do you do, Scott? What are you hunting for? Do you go deer hunting? Do you duck hunt? What do you do other than bass fish?
Well, I love the duck hunt. I haven't had the opportunity to go as much as I like to. I used to, believe it or not, I used to get up every day before school when I was 14 and 15 years old, go down to the marina at 4 in the morning with my school clothes on, put my camouflage overalls on, and take the little Genu out, shoot my limited ducks before first period. And and that's what I used to do, all growing up. And I still enjoy going out on the lake in airboats and duck hunting on Lake Okeechobee and doing all that kind of stuff. I love it. Hunting's not a big part of our life, big deer hunting and stuff, but duck hunting, bird hunting, and all that is. Down here in South Florida, you don't have a lot of big deer.
Right.
You have a lot of alligators, obviously, and a lot of big hogs and ducks, and of course you can't beat the fishing.
Right.
You have been there your entire life, and obviously there's been I don't know, for the last 20 years a lot of discussion about the Everglades and what's going on in the state of Florida, and that one of the greatest fisheries out there is in peril. Do you really is there really that big of a problem to you that you feel?
No.
Okay.
No. You kind of what's that song? Don't believe the hype. That old rap song back in the day. Don't believe the hype.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of what it is. I mean, a lot of it is just news making stuff. Lake Okeechobee, believe it or not, is in very, very, very good condition. Fishing's just been fantastic, and so no, we're in good shape here. I mean, they obviously there's some concerns with the Everglades and the way that the water flows is a little different than it used to flow, and there's a lot of things that I'm not an expert on with all that kind of stuff that are definitely concerns with different organizations around South Florida that have to do with water flow and watershed. But Lake Okeechobee, I know about that, and it's in good shape. Fishing's fantastic. There's no fish kill. There's no algae blooms that are killing fish. The lake has been very, very consistent every single year. No issues at all. And it's amazing what that lake produces. And I can say this very confidently. And the reason I say Lake Okeechobee is, in my opinion, the best lake in the country. I know Toledo Bend was voted #1, and it's a fantastic fishery as well. I love that lake. So many big fish in it. And Lake Okeechobee's right up there. Lake Okeechobee's always, in my opinion, 1, 2, or 3, simply because the fishing's good year-round, and there's just so many fish. You catch so many fish, it's unbelievable. You're not out there catching 3 or 4 fish. You're out there, if you don't catch 20 or 30 bass in a day, you feel like something's wrong.
Yeah,
it's funny you'd mention that, because I talked to Tommy Martin 20 years ago, and he said that Toledo Bend at that time had taught so many great anglers, because he said that, bass fishing is all about learning what to fish, where to fish, and when you're getting a bite. And he said, we get more bites in a morning than a guy in the upper part of North America will get in a season. And he said, so, I mean, it's all about learning, those little nuances of fishing and picking up patterns and things like that. And there you are, obviously one of the greatest fisheries that ever was in the United States. Do you think that gave you a heads up over most everyone else in the game at that time, at a young age?
I think so. Fishing, tournament fishing, is all about confidence. If you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you're not going to win. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And so what fishing Lake Okeechobee has done for me over the years is given me confidence in catching fish. Now, it hasn't necessarily taught me. It's a little twofold. It hasn't taught me how to drop shot. It hasn't taught me how to throw deep diving crankbaits. It hasn't taught me some of those things that I had to learn on tour, because we don't have that type of water here in South Florida on Lake Okeechobee. But it has given me the confidence on how to catch fish, and it allows me to fish year round, and get out there and put a lot more time in on the water throughout the year versus what you could do in another place.
Hey, Scott, we've been fortunate on the show to have BASS and FLW Anglers of the Year on for the last several years, and I always like to ask the same question. Why did you win this year? Was it just your year, it was going to happen no matter what, or did the lakes that you went to, the times they went to those lakes, did that factor into Scott Martin's strong points? What came together to allow you to win FLW Angler of the Year?
Well, there's a couple answers to that question, and I think first of all, I honestly decided that I was going to give it everything I could give for this year, and I decided that on about August 30th of last year. Okay, so about exactly a year ago. And when I say I made a claim that I wanted to really focus on Angler of the Year, I mean it was a real serious claim. I told that to Bill Taylor, the tournament director, that basically I'm going to focus on Angler of the Year, and he kind of laughed. There was a couple tournaments there you might have a little trouble with, like Smith Lake, and honestly, I was a little worried about Smith Lake. It's a deep, clear reservoir, and I said I want to win that one. That's the one I want to win. That's the one I want to focus on and win that one. And he kind of even laughed again. But then, so yes, I kind of decided in my mind, and I put forth the most effort I've ever put forth in winning Angler of the Year. I'd never really tried to win Angler of the Year. I always kind of was under the mentality to win tournaments, and if I won Angler of the Year along the way, great. But that didn't work out. So this year, I wanted to focus on it. I felt like I had learned enough techniques, and I had gotten good enough at enough different techniques that I could be dangerous on lots of different types of water, river systems, upland reservoirs, swamps, bayous, whatever. It didn't matter. I felt like I could compete, and stay consistent. But I did get some good fortune, and the good fortune came at Smith Lake, where I got on a spawning bite there when really most of the other people did not discover. I got very fortunate. The fish were spawning at a very weird time in weird places. It wasn't a normal thing, and I kind of discovered that in practice and ran with it throughout the event, which gave me that fifth place finish at Smith, and that was a blessing. So that helped me in my strength there. The rest of the year was just a normal year. There wasn't anything, any of those lakes that I felt like, man, I know that lake, or I know that know exactly how I'm going to catch them. I caught them different everywhere I went. It was just strange.
Well, a true testament to me, Scott, of how great an angler you have become is to come from a shallow water body of Okeechobee, growing up on Okeechobee, fishing shallow water your whole life, to go to Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, which is you're, flipping a jig in 35 foot of water, and Smith Lake in the same. To go to those places now and you are a threat, that just tells me all I need to know. You have really come a long way, and you have arrived.
Well, I appreciate it. I feel comfortable, like I people ask me, here's my mentality, and here's how I fish. Here's how I think. People ask me all the time. They ask me every day, just about on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, what's your favorite lure? What's your favorite lure? What's your favorite technique? And I say I don't have one. I mean, I honestly don't have one, and I don't want one. I don't want a favorite way of catching them, because if I have a favorite way of catching them, that means I'm going to spend every tournament running around the lake looking for the way that I want to catch them, and not looking for the way that's the best way to catch those fish, whether it's a drop shot or spinning jerk bait or whatever it may be. I like what the fish are biting. And I approach every tournament with that mentality where I don't go looking for flipping fish. I go looking for the pattern that I feel like is going to win. And if it's a drop shot, it's a drop shot. If it's throwing big crankbaits or spoons, so be it. Or if it's a 30-foot deep with swim bait, I feel very comfortable out there in open water.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lake Okeechobee gave me some confidence, though. I have to say, fishing in open water. We have a lot of grass, but there's no shorelines on Lake Okeechobee. You're out in these big, massive grass flats. So even though you can see the grass, you're still out in open water. You're not throwing at a log or a shoreline or a dock.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very comfortable getting out in 30 foot of water and chunking swim baits around out there on subtle little depth changes or brush piles or submerged trees or whatever it may be, because at Lake Okeechobee, even though it's only 5 feet deep at Lake Okeechobee, I've done that for years. Get out there and just keep winging around until you locate what you need to find. And so that's helped me get out there in these deep reservoirs and throw swim baits and different things out in 30, 40 foot of water. And that's how I catch a lot of my fish. Way off the bank,
FLW Angler of the Year, Scott Martin. One last question for you, Scott. And this one's kind of important to me because we asked the same question of Larry Nixon a few weeks back. What do you wish you knew 10, 15 years ago that you know now? What do you – was there a technique, a lure, something, maybe a mental strong point? What do you wish you knew 15 years ago that you know today? On the mental part of the sport, that takes time, and I've always been very confident in everything that I do. Not cocky. Understand, it's not a cocky confidence. Just confident. I feel like I can be good at whatever I need to be good at as long as I practice and I spend time doing it. And 15 years ago, I don't know if I had quite the confidence that I do now. And confidence kind of rolls over into how to win a tournament. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's more to it. I can't explain it. It's not one thing that you do, but guys can accidentally win one tournament, but they never accidentally win a second one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's some mental things, and there's ways to play the game and ways to think about how to fish each day and how to, whether it's saving your fish, whether it's planning out day 1, day 2, day 3. I remember having day 4 fish, day 3 fish. I mean, I think more. I think more about how to manage what I have. I think I can take less opportunity and turn it into bigger things than I could 15 years ago.
That's awesome.
I didn't have a whole lot found at Lake Washington. Finished 5th. I actually had to fish on to win the tournament, and I wasn't on hardly anything. But I've figured out some ways to maximize some of my fishing, based on what I found. And that I didn't have that 15 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Well,
it's kind of like I just had to catch everything.
Congratulations again, and thank your wife for us for sharing you with us while you're obviously trying to enjoy the benefits of the recent championship. FLW Angler of the Year, Scott Martin, and brother, good luck for the coming year as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're gonna be looking forward to that. I hadn't even really looked at the schedule, to be honest with you. There's probably a lot of guys that have mapped out their entire next season, and I don't even know where the tournaments are. Yeah, I just actually put the dates in my phone today.
Hey, Scott, if you make it to this area, November, December, January, you've got a duck hunt.
I will do that. And there's a good chance I may. We're going to be filming a lot in November, December, January, so I may hit you guys up for sure.
Fantastic. And we'd like you to sit in with us for a show as well if you got time.
All
right, Scott. Thank you.
Count me in.
Scott Martin, FLW Angler of the Year. He did it, man. I'll tell you right now, we knew a few months back, he was in the race.
Yeah, he was right there.
He pulled it off.
That's kind of funny. Larry Nixon said Cinco was his answer to that question.
Yeah.
And his is not a tangible thing. It's all mental.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that needs to be that needs to be reckoned with too, because you think about it, managing your fish. knowing when to fold on this particular school of fish and go look for something
And he
else.
also said that you can accidentally win one tournament, but you're not going to accidentally win two. Congratulations on your one win. Graf.
Now, I want a few cookie jars.
Hey, sit tight. It's hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
It's a Baton Rouge, and I won't forget to send you a card with my regret.
Wait! Excuse me, son! What you need is BioBore EV. It gives you full protection, prevents, and cleans. It protects, stabilizes, and rejuvenates. BioBore EV. That ethanol buster.
Protect your investment with the oldest, most certified family of fuel additives in the world. BioBore, the name you can trust.
As a kid growing up in the country, I have a great appreciation for what a country store is all about. A store that pretty much has anything and everything you might need. We have such a store right here just south of Natchitoches called 3J's 4-Way. From plumbing to pizza, drinks to snacks, 3J's has it all. With a new and improved deli center, 3J's should be your snack or lunch headquarters. Oh, did I mention Cypress Knee Outdoors? Folks, if you need anything related to the great outdoors, they have it. Deer stands to feeders, ammo, guns, and camo. Cypress Knee has everything a hunter could need. So you're not a hunter, but love to fish. They have all the top name brands in the fishing world. Zoom, Daiwa, Santone, Strike King, Gary Yamamoto, Bandit, and the best hooks on the market, Gamakatsu. This is a place that has it all. So let John Abraham and his great staff take care of all your grocery and outdoor needs by making the 10-minute drive just south of Natchitoches at the intersection of Highway 1 and 120 at Cypress Knee Outdoors.
Both machines offer two-wheel and four-wheel drive. But even in four-wheel drive mode, the best you're ever going to get on the Rincon is three-wheel drive. The way they tell it, their system is supposed to apply more torque to the wheel with the most traction. But we found the opposite to be true. Go figure. On the Grizzly, you can engage full four-wheel differential lock. All four wheels pulling with maximum traction all the time. You can't get fully locked four-wheel drive on any Honda ATV. Which one would you rather be riding?
Welcome back. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, Toledo Bend Lake Country, and Bellevue Meat Processing. This fall, let Bellevue Meat Processing take care of all of your wild game packing needs. Now back to the three guys who need to be processed, packed, and shipped out. Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles.
And make sure to check out our Facebook page and our website, HUTD.net, for tips. And you can listen to any of the archive shows, maybe some other stuff. We had last week, we had Bob Seeley in, Wayne Neeson. Here in a minute.
And I want to mention something real quick, Gary, before we get off that. I want to mention real quick, on our website, HUTD.net, we are in the process of getting the TV portion loaded. Mm-hmm. It's just taking a little more time than we thought, but that is coming where you can actually watch the show every week. So,
look at you.
Anyway, right. We're working on it.
Hey, what are the biggest issues facing outdoorsmen today and in the future? We'll answer that in just a sec after Bellevue Meat Processing.
This fall, let Bellevue Meat Processing take care of all your meat packing needs, specializing in beef, deer, elk, and other wild game processing for the freezer. Now's the time to call Chris or Carla Nesbitt and make your appointment for beef cattle processing. Also, don't forget to bring your elk and other exotic game to Bellevue as well. Whether you want sausage or steak cuts, Bellevue Meat Processing will make sure your beef or game is packaged right. Give them a call at 318-453-2783.
Is there anything better than elk steak?
I've never had that, and I've heard people tell me it is so good.
Now, somebody told me that moose was really good. I've never had moose, but an elk steak, honestly, it'll make you throw rocks at whitetail.
I've heard people say it's really good.
It's just
you
phenomenal.
Take it and run it through one of the tenderizers,
like Chris has got there. Yeah,
yes, a couple of times, and it's.
You'll
eat it till you get sick.
Why don't you go kill us an elk and we'll cook it in the parking lot?
Somebody's already calling and offering him a trip right now.
I'll be right back.
What are the biggest issues facing outdoorsmen today and in the future?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest issue that the outdoorsman has in America right now sits in the White House.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest issue that we've got right now.
I won't disagree with that.
You know, I honestly believe that this little thing that he's just done, I don't know if you saw, he went and did the thing with Bear Grylls. And that's in an effort to put in my estimation, and this is my opinion only, not the opinion of this show or this radio or television station, but I think that he's trying to put the Democratic Party in a good light with the outdoorsman. You know, he's going to spend a little time with Bear Grylls and, you know, show the humorous side of that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you know, we're in a heck of a bind in this country right now. Gun rights are under attack. You know, the one of the biggest issues that a lot of people don't realize is that they don't have to take our guns to cause us problems. Right. All they got to do is be able to get their hands on ammunition. Well, and, you know, there's a huge issue. We're talking about my son brought this up the other day. He's a history major in college, and he says, Dad, you know, he said, one of the things that you hadn't really thought about is the fact that, you know, we just went through that huge bailout. You know, we bailed out a number of big companies. America got bailed out. He said, you know where we borrowed the money? And I said, no. He said, we borrowed the money from China.
China, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what did we put up as collateral?
Land.
All our national parks.
Land.
Yeah.
Guess what? When China is now going through the issues with their economy that they are, when they call that debt due and we hadn't got the money to pay it, what are they going to take?
Yep.
Land.
They're going to take
Ho Chi Minh will be owning the
land.
Our national parks.
Yeah. That is going to be one of the biggest issues that we've got, you know, because we, you know, as regular outdoorsmen, we grew up in an era when, you know, if International Paper had a big bunch of land out there, you just went and hunted it. Yeah, you know, if it didn't have a fence and a posted sign around, you just went and hunted it. And nowadays, you know, I spend a lot of money each year on leases and things of that nature just to be able to have that land. Now, we still have, I live right up the road from Bodcaw. I still have one of the greatest, you know, hunting reserves probably in the South within miles of my, so I'm not in a total threat, but what if that is now Little China?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's gone.
Another thing I would like everybody to think about, our economy right now is at a very critical stage in this country.
Dude.
What's the first thing they're going to cut out when it comes to funding for different programs across the country that deal with the outdoors? The government funding is going to be, that's what's going to be cut out.
I wonder, though, what
and when those fundings are stopped, we got some problems.
Outside of Wallop Bro funds, which are derived from the sales of hunting and fishing licenses, what other area other than, you know, the park rangers and stuff like that? No. Yeah. What is the government actually spending money on?
Well, they say they're
they're taking our taxes and they take our license sales, but what are you actually getting in return for that?
Like a federal fish hatchery, like the one at Natchitoches. That's a national fish hatchery at Natchitoches. That's a federal, not a state. It's federal. The funding to keep those ponds stocked with fingerlings.
That doesn't come from Wallop Bro?
A lot of that funding comes directly from the federal government.
What I'm saying is Wallop
part
Bro,
of it does.
Wallop Bro funds is based on license sales.
But
that's not a tax.
But the people that are being paid is coming from the federal government. And what's the first thing they're going to close? Natchitoches Fish Hatchery, to eliminate salary, eliminate jobs. Now, when you close the hatchery, it don't matter if you got Wallop Bro. If you ain't got no place to open to run it, it don't matter.
20 years ago, I did a research piece on this. At that time, fishing itself, was the 6th largest industry in the world. It was a $60 billion a year industry.
Right.
Do the math on the taxes.
Oh, my God.
From boat sales, fuel sales, tackle.
Yeah.
Where's that money?
I'm buying.
Where's that money?
I'm buying 1 ounce tungstens today.
Where's that money?
Did you see the picture on the internet of 2 women? They were obviously Eskimo women, and Barack Obama, and they were all holding salmon, one apiece. Mm-hmm. Barack Obama had a rubber glove on, and the 2 women didn't.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to.
It said 2 out of 3 women can hold a fish without a rubber glove.
Hey, we're so pumped. Jerry McInnes, the legendary Jerry McInnes.
Fishing hole.
Ready to go. Current owner of the Bass Angler Sportsman Society. We grew up with him. You grew up with him. He's next right here on this show. It's Hooking Up and Tracking Down, 1130, The Tiger.
Folks, I'm Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff with the Hooking Up and Tracking Down radio show. Coming up next, our Cypress Knee Outdoors Tip of the Week. Hello everybody, I'm Steve Graff with the Hooking Up and Tracking Down radio show. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to dress for those cold winter days. One of the first things that I have to put on each and every time, and I found it to be one of the most important things that I'll put on my body in the course of a cold weather day, thermals. Good heavyweight thermals. I prefer the 100% silk that you can get at Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop. Several outlets carry these. Great product for keeping the body warm. They come in different levels of medium heavy, and so forth. I like the medium heavy because it just really seems to keep me warm. It's a great start to keeping your body warm. You want to layer yourself. This is the first layer. Second layer, I'll take just an old pair of old sweatpants. That goes on next. That's to kind of trap the heat and insulate myself on that second layer. The third thing I like to put on, of course, I'll have my regular team shirts on, as well as an undershirt, like a turtleneck, and so forth. Then I'm gonna come back on a really cold day, and I'm gonna have a hoodie put on, something that I can put on to cover my body, that I can take on and off if I get too hot, or if I need to add a layer of warmth, I can always put this on. This is a great thing to carry in the boat at all times. To me, one of the first and foremost and most important part, your feet. If your feet get cold, you're in trouble. I know I am. I'm one of those kind of cold-natured people. I like a good pair of waterproof thermal insulated socks. This is a great thing to put on your feet. Keeps your feet dry and it keeps them warm all day long. If it's raining, I like a good pair. A lot of people wear boots. I like waterproof tennis shoes. These are waterproof. Again, this is another product you can get at several different outlets, Bass Pro, Cabela's. A lot of people carry these, Academy, different places carry waterproof tennis shoes. This is a good pair to have right here. Got to keep your feet dry. The next thing, probably the most important, you've got to have something to insulate yourself from the wind and the cold elements of the air. When you're running your boat or when you're out on the lake and the wind's blowing, Gore-Tex. Nothing beats Gore-Tex. It's soft, it's comfortable, it's windproof, it insulates your body, keeps you dry as well. The next thing, Gore-Tex jacket. Several people make these. Again, you can get them at different outlets. Mine comes from Ranger Boats, which is, again, a great product. It doesn't matter what you wear, as long as it's Gore-Tex, it does not matter. Final thing, two things. If it's really, really cold, I'll wear something, a face mask of some kind to keep my face warm while I'm running my boat. Folks, the final thing, you want to make sure you've got a good pair of waterproof gloves. There's nothing more important because, again, if your feet or your hands get wet and cold, the rest of your body seems to follow suit. So keep your hands warm with a good pair of waterproof gloves. The one thing I like to do is put these toasty hands inside the gloves, leave them inside the gloves all day long. Each time I put the gloves on, they're nice and warm inside. And I also like to take a set of these toasty toes that are also like shake up hand warmers. You put them inside your shoes, fit them in between your socks and your shoes. They also help keep your feet and your toes good and warm all day long. And folks, that's this week's Hooking Up and Tracking Down Tip of the Week.
The Nashville Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Victor Jones encourage all citizens to remember to be safe, buckle up, and remember, no texting.
You're watching KNTS Digital 19 in Natchitoches, Louisiana.
We invented and patented the first aerated live well. We're first with higher flotation standards, first to receive a protected design hull copyright, and we're still the only boat with the strength of a solid fiberglass transom. With such a strong focus on non-stop innovation, no other boat enjoys such advanced engineering. Ranger Boats, we're celebrating 40 years of fishing and a lifetime of leadership. Discover Yamaha's VMAX power. When you want the best, choose Yamaha.
Toledo Fiberglass specializes in fiberglass restoration, offering fiberglass repair on all major brands of ski and bass boats. Al Drew and his staff will get you back on the water where you belong. Everything from metal flake scratches to recarpeting, Toledo Fiberglass can fix it. It's also home of the Gorilla Hull and the headquarters of the Minn Kota Talon Shallow Water Anchor System. So the next time you need fiberglass repairs or restoration, go see Toledo Fiberglass just off the Texas Highway or call 800-554-5452.
Both machines offer two-wheel and four-wheel drive. But even in four-wheel drive mode, the best you're ever going to get on the Rincon is three-wheel drive. The way they tell it, their system is supposed to apply more torque to the wheel with the most traction. But we found the opposite to be true. Go figure. On the Grizzly, you can engage full four-wheel differential lock. All four wheels pulling with maximum traction all the time. You can't get fully locked four-wheel drive on any Honda ATV. Which one would you rather be riding?
Too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter, and your heating and air conditioning system is burning holes in your paycheck? You need to call Luke at Guy Heating and Air.
Welcome back to another hour of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Spro Lures, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Silver Star Steakhouse and Barbecue, and Louisiana Charter Boats Association. Get hooked and go fishing with Louisiana Charter Boats. Now back to another hour of news, notes, and nuggets from the great outdoors with Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. It's Gary McCoy here along with the Ranger Pro Staffer, Steve Graff. The old mud hen, Mike Eccles, is here. And don't forget now, second annual Holy Angels Fishing for Angels Fall Bass Classic this Saturday. September the 12th, Red River South Marina and Resort. If you haven't picked up your entry form, they got them at Bayou Outdoors.
Taking registration down there Thursday and Friday.
I don't know if he's disconnected his microphone.
I said,
there we go.
There we go. They'll be taking registrations down there at Red River South Thursday and Friday also.
Okay. And the tournament is Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
$5, you can eat all you want to.
Yeah.
Dude.
Unbelievable.
Incredible food. Okay, on the phone, I'm so pumped about this. Jerry McInnes, legendary Jerry McInnes.
There's not many people we get giddy about.
Exactly.
We're getting.
Well, you do.
Okay.
Owner of Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Jerry, when you first started this eons ago, did you... That's Jerry's phone. We're going to interview Jerry's phone.
If you'd like to make a call.
Well, we would like to make a call. Any rate. We'll get Jerry on the phone.
I wonder how many people listening right now remember the fishing hole, Jerry McInnes fishing hole.
Yeah.
That's like Kurt Gowdy day.
Yeah.
I mean, it started that long ago.
That was all part of the Wide World of Sports thing, on Saturday morning. The American Sportsman, I mean, that was Saturdays. Yeah. If you weren't out fishing already.
Between him and Virgil Ward.
Virgil Ward. Completely forgot about Virgil.
And then it had John Fox.
Yeah.
Out of Tyler,
who
Texas.
is still alive and fishing and telling lies in Florida.
Exactly.
That was it was an unbelievable era.
It was.
And Jerry has managed to take that all the way from those days, the earliest, of our memories, to today. I mean, he's continuing the legend that is Bass Angler Sportsman Society. And so all the numbers of things that he's seen. Jerry, it's good to have you on the phone, brother. This is Gary McCoy along with Steve Graff and Mike Eccles. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, guys, it's good to be here. How y'all doing?
We're awesome. I mean, it's not often that we get to interview somebody of your caliber, so we're just going to sit back and let you talk for about 30 minutes.
Here's a microphone. Go.
One of the things.
Let me tell you a real story real quick, Gary. The last time I had Mr. Jerry on, listen to the mistake I made. I had Jimmy Houston and Jerry beside me.
Oh.
I didn't even.
Wrong move.
I don't even think I said
Wrong
a
move.
word. They just took the microphones and took over the whole show.
If you'd have had Bob Seeley there, it'd have been a triple threat. Jerry, one of the things we were just talking about a minute ago, and I hate to put a political spin on this, but I want to ask you before we would discuss this incredible new book of yours. We just talked about this a second ago. From your point of view, in all the years that you've been involved with this, what do you think is the biggest issue facing outdoorsmen today that maybe we took for granted a long time ago? Would it be something in the way of access or funding?
Oh, yeah, it would be definitely. You don't even need to go any further than that as far as I'm concerned. It's access and how that, we're getting around it right now, and everything, I wouldn't say everything's okay, but, we're surviving it right now. But, a few years ago, if you'd have asked me the same question, access wouldn't even cross my mind. But now I think it's pretty darn important, and it's something that could get a lot worse. And so we really need to be aware of it.
Now, Mr. Jerry, is it because of the liberal world how liberal this country has gotten with anti-gun, anti-hunting? You think that's the reason people are just cutting their land off and don't want people on it? Everything's leased up now, whether it's paper company land or private land. It's just hard to find a place to go and hunt and fish.
Yeah, I don't know if it's if you hit on it right there or not. I'm not real sure. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. Seems like, I don't know, there's just less and less public asset to the wide. And of course, I'm thinking about fishing primarily, but I'm sure it's in any part of the outdoors. It's probably a problem. But man, we have such I don't know. Is there not a less public property these days than there used to be? I'm sure there is. I guess that's got to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't shock me. It's a shame, but it does not shock me that we've lost access to land. Mm-hmm. What shocks me is that we're losing access to water.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's a very good point. That wouldn't shock me either. I feel the same. Losing access to land doesn't shock me. I'm like you, but the water is slowly going away.
But like marinas, a lot of marinas where you actually launch your boat don't want you fishing in the marina. And I'm like, wait a minute! I just put my boat in at your place, and you won't let me fish. Are you kidding me? I don't. Yep. That's the part I don't understand.
And then how about the guy that harassed Mark Menendez? About a month ago. They've kind of put a stop to it. He was accused of that and paid a pretty stiff fine. But good night. I just can't believe that. I just can't believe that would have happened some years ago. Maybe it would have happened, and we wouldn't have found out about it because we didn't have Facebook and so on back in those days. Maybe it's always been there.
Maybe a few years ago we'd have found that guy floating someplace.
Well, it's kind of like the incident. Yeah, it's kind of like the incident, Jerry, down at the Bassmaster Classic in New Orleans, where Gary Klein was actually shot over.
Actually shot at, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, what in the now? Of course, we're talking Cajun Kunas people, so that's another world down there, and we all recognize it. Yeah. We're Louisianans, and even though we're redneck Louisianans, we still recognize some of the insanity that some people, how they handle themselves in different parts of
That's bad when somebody from Louisiana has to explain our actions to somebody from Arkansas. I mean, this is bad.
Yeah, really. That's about right.
That's right. We got a point there.
I know with you, Jerry, I know you're involved in the decision-making process of where you guys go with BASS, where you send these tournaments. It's not just always about money, which I know that's a big part of it. Who's going to foot the bill for all that? But does that have an impact, that incident in New Orleans? Does that have an impact on whether you go back to New Orleans or not?
No, well, it never has. We've been back there twice.
Yeah.
Since that time, and no, it doesn't. The deal up in Waddington that happened in a month ago with Menendez, that wouldn't have any effect on us going back. We have to think that those are just extremely isolated things, and no, it wouldn't have any impact at all on us going back to these areas.
Well, let's look to the future. I mean, here's a man, you've been around this sport longer than the three of us combined. Where do you see the evolution of the bass tournament headed towards? I mean, in 10 years, will a bass tournament be conducted like it is now, or is it going to be all done just essentially with camera aid and that kind of stuff, where the weigh-in is happening, as it happens? You catch a fish, it's digitally weighed and released back into the water, or are we going to stay with some tradition?
Well, I guess there's going to be a little bit of both, but I think that we're seeing some major things happen right now. We started actually at the Classic, but then extended it on into our season. Started following boats live and streaming their whole day.
Which
on
is
the internet.
awesome.
That is
awesome.
one of the greatest things that has ever happened to that sport.
Do not change that.
Yeah.
Well, I really do think that is one of the really big things that has happened, and it's just gonna, I'm a television guy. As you know, I was on television a million years, and then absolutely grew up with ESPN, and I always say I have ESPN blood in my veins. But I'm telling you, one day television will not be a factor at all. We may not even have it on television anymore. I don't, that's a few years down the line. But what this live streaming and the audience we're getting is pretty darn awesome, man. And it makes you sit back and realize, boy, this thing is. Actually, that's the kind of stuff we've always dreamed of, and bam, there it is. And although we have still have some problems to work out, and got some areas we got to get better in, it's pretty good the way it is.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, y'all have solved the age-old problem, because I can remember 15, 20 years ago in tournament fishing, the money, why didn't a professional angler get the same thing that ball players did? And one of the answers was, well, it's not a spectator sport. We don't have the gate fees.
The revenue.
You'll never be able to do that. And I didn't think you would. I wasn't smart enough to foresee anything like this. But with the streaming issues, y'all have solved that problem. If you have turned something that was impossible to be a spectator sport into just that.
You bet.
Well, and of course we haven't. I wouldn't say we have solved the problem, but we've really addressed it and put ourselves in a position now where we can start getting better. Of course, we're just talking about we're just done with our regular season, but we've got a few more events to go. So this is just the first year, and somewhere along the line, we're going to be able to take advantage of that, and the anglers are going to be able to take advantage of it financially, and then that will start making things a lot better. When I got in this 5 years ago, let me say I got into it 25 years ago when we started televising it on ESPN, and actually my group developed the FLW tour for ESPN. And then moved over to Bass when Bass went to ESPN, and then got in the position that I'm in now. So I have been around it an awful long time, and what's really happening that nobody pays any attention to is the fact that these anglers are getting more and more exposure, and it's very difficult for us. For bass to to start bringing in money that would equal golf and tennis and so on. We can't do that, and therefore our anglers don't get to benefit from what's going on quite as much. But when we started developing more and more exposure for them, developing ways for them to get more exposure, then they can go out and virtually sell themselves. And a lot of our anglers have got on to that and realized that that's the way it is, and that's a fact, and I can benefit from it if I perform pretty well. I'm going to be on this live stream, and I'm going to be on ESPN and so on, and I become a lot more valuable. And of course, the public and most of the anglers still think of these purses as the way they're going to make it. Let me tell you, if an angler goes into our sport thinking that he's going to become a wealthy man and a tremendously popular angler by winning purses, then he's making a mistake. He might as well take his money and go to Las Vegas.
Amen. Yeah.
Okay, we want to take you even further back. We want to talk about the book here in just a couple of minutes and take history way back even further than a lot of us even knew before we read the book. And if you don't mind, we're going to do that here in just a sec. Will you sit tight with us and stay with us just a few more minutes?
You betcha.
Jerry McInnes, owner of the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, one of our television fixtures for, like he said, 1 million years now. He is Mr. Bass Fishing. That's up next, Hooking Up and Tracking Down, 11:30, The Tiger.
Natchitoches, Louisiana is known for its rich history, and when you talk car buying, Natchitoches Ford has the distinction of selling the very first Ford automobiles in Louisiana. That means they have been satisfying customers for a long time. Friendly people who will make sure you have a great car buying experience. Their no high pressure and hassle-free sales staff will do their best to offer you the best service possible when buying that new car or truck. Family owned and operated, Calvin Braxton Sr. and Jr. want to invite you to stop by and see the guys who started it all in Louisiana car buying at Natchitoches Ford Lincoln, just off the Highway 1 bypass in Natchitoches, or call them at 318-352-3677.
Hello, I'm Troy Umbehagen. We at Natchitoches Nursing and Rehabilitation proudly support and watch TV17's local programming.
Some things just stayed the same, but not Toledo Town and Tackle. Still the best selection of tackle on the bin. Zoom, dive with Gene LaRue and Sam Tone. Now double the size of the original store, you have twice as much to choose from. With a new deli serving the best hamburgers, pizza, and soft drinks, you'll find something that's sure to fill your belly. They also have a great selection of tees and polo-style shirts. So stop in and treat yourself to the best tackle box on the bin. Toledo Town and Tackle on beautiful Toledo Bend Lake. Toledo Fiberglass specializes in fiberglass restoration, offering fiberglass repair on all major brands of ski and bass boats. Al Drew and his staff will get you back on the water where you belong. Everything from metal flake scratches to recarpeting, Toledo Fiberglass can fix it. It's also home of the Gorilla Hull and the headquarters of the Minn Kota Talon Shallow Water Anchor System. So the next time you need fiberglass repairs or restoration, go see Toledo Fiberglass just off the Texas Highway or call 800-554-5452.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Bob.